Welcome. We are about to embark upon our final panel for the day, and this one is a special one. This is our STEM Star recognition opportunity for all of the young people who have contributed hours toward the Congressional Award in various STEM activities. So today, following the panel, we will have a special reception honoring you that will be out here in the atrium, so we welcome you to stay. Also, just one point logistically, once this panel concludes, we will take a group photo with all the STEM stars. So we will be asking you if you have earned your STEM star this year, that you will be coming on stage for a group photo before the reception starts. And with that, we will get started. The STEM Star program is one that we are most proud of, and when we started it, we had a small group of young people that were participating in STEM activities, and now we have thousands. And so we are so grateful that people have pursued their passions within STEM, and for those that didn't think that that would be something they'd be interested in, have been curious enough to try it and might be surprised in what they have found. So we appreciate everyone's curiosity and everyone's time and dedication in earning their gold medal, and for the number of hours that everyone contributed for the STEM Star recognition. We're especially thankful to our friends at Ferring Pharmaceuticals, who you will hear from shortly. What I would like to begin with is actually a video, a recorded message from Congressman Neil Dunn from Florida's 2nd Congressional District. We will start with that message.
Hello, I'm Congressman Neil Dunn, a physician, veteran, and a proud representative of the 2nd Congressional District of Congress. Congratulations to the 2026 class of Congressional Award Medalists, and especially those of you who took on the challenge of getting a STEM star. Welcome to our nation's capital. As a doctor, I have seen the firsthand impact that science, technology, engineering can have on the future of the country and the community. STEM education equips you to perform and achieve problems and solve problems that really make a meaningful impact to our community and to the world. So whether your future leads you into medicine, engineering, artificial intelligence, or things that we haven't even invented yet, congratulations on the skills that you're building today to improve the innovations of tomorrow. And congratulations again to the gold medalist and all your achievements. And welcome to our beautiful nation's capital.
And to open today's panel, it is my pleasure to introduce our dear friend and advocate and supporter, Emily Martin, Manager of Corporate Relations at Ferring Pharmaceuticals.
Thank you, Erica. It's really a pleasure to be here with you all this afternoon in honor of the 2026 Congressional Award Foundation Gold Medal Summit. This is my 4th Gold Medal Summit, and I have not earned the award. So I'm just here to celebrate all of you, and I feel honored to do so. I want to take a moment to thank Erica and the entire Congressional Award team for everything that they do. Their hard work and commitment to providing opportunities for young people in America is incredible and inspiring. I also want to thank the Congressional Award Foundation's Board of Directors, including Chairman Sean Whitman and Vice Chairman John Mason, who's here with us today, for all that they do to advance the work of this incredible program. Ferring Pharmaceuticals is proud to be the official partner of the Congressional Award Foundation's STEM Star Initiative, which fosters an interest in young leaders to explore STEM careers. At Ferring, we recognize the importance of developing the next generation of leaders in STEM. This is vital to our communities and to the United States as a whole. Educating students to become future innovators and leaders who can solve the world's most pressing challenges is a priority. I want to congratulate all of you. You have earned your Congressional Award Gold Medal. It took you 400 hours of community service, 200 hours of personal development, and much more to be here today. You have worked hard, and more importantly, you have made a difference in your community. I'm pleased to recognize the STEM stars with us in attendance today. STEM stars have pursued goals and activities in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math, areas that are critical to the future of this nation and to our world. 105 STEM stars in this year's gold medal class have joined us in Washington, D.C. this week. STEM stars have completed various activities that show their commitment to these fields and to the future of STEM. Nick Hill K from Dublin, California, created an app for bikers that helps them save routes and gives suggestions for riders taking them. Catherine K from Alpharetta, Georgia, worked on The Living World, a biology simulation that focuses on detecting extraterrestrial life. Kate R from Wheaton, Illinois, mentored youth robotics teams at STEM camps. And Jasmine E from New York City, taught 300+ lessons on Python and JavaScript. And these are just a few examples of the innovative projects and activities that STEM stars have undertaken this year alone. Today's panel is made up of STAR STEM leaders. I want to acknowledge my colleague, Stephanie Otis, Vice President of Global Operations at Ferring, who is here today. I'm really excited for you to hear from Stephanie and her esteemed fellow panelists, Dr. Casey Sachs and Stephen Honan, shortly. Today and this week is about you. The Gold Medal Summit is a culmination of your hard work, commitment, and dedication. You should all be very proud of what you've accomplished, and I'm so excited to see what you'll do next. I also want to acknowledge your parents, mentors, friends, family, coaches, teachers, and all of the individuals who supported you on your path to earning your gold medal. Doing so is no small feat, and the community around you is an important part of your success. After today's discussion and celebration of your achievements, we invite you to enjoy the STEM Stars reception, and I really look forward to meeting each of you and learning more about your individual journeys to gold. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the panel.
Thank you so much, Emily. And we will have the panelists come out and we will take a photo before we get started. I will now turn everything over to our Vice Chair of the Congressional Award Board of Directors, Mr. John Mason.
All right, it works. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It truly is an honor to be here. As Erica shared, my name is John Mason, Senior Director of Government Affairs for Altria, but more importantly, I get to serve as Vice Chair of the Congressional Award Foundation Board. I first want to just applaud all of you all for taking the journey and the road with us at Congressional Award and participating, for the parents that have supported you throughout the process and the family. It truly takes a village, but I'm excited for this panel about STEM, and we have a great group of panelists here to give you perspective, but also invite you to join in on the conversation. So as we're going through the conversation today, I want you guys to think about some questions. We are going to have time for Q&A, so I do want you guys to ask some thoughtful and engaging questions to the panelists, because we want to hear from you about how we can better approach them, but also ways that you can engage as well. So first, I'd like to kick off by giving our panelists the opportunity to introduce themselves. So, Cassie, do you want to start?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Congratulations. What an honor you have earned, and we're really thrilled to be up here with you today. I'm Dr. Casey Sachs. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at the United States Department of Education, and I'm also the Acting Assistant Secretary for an office that's called Career Technical and Adult Education. So I get to wear a couple of hats. The OCTE, the Career Technical Adult Education role, means that I get to spend a lot of time with students who are in a variety of career and tech ed programs, mostly in high schools and middle schools, and that is an awful lot of fun.
You want to hit the button? Yeah, perfect.
I'm Stephanie Otis, and it's an honor to be here with you. Congratulations to all of you who have received your awards. I am with Ferring Pharmaceuticals. I've been with Ferring for over 20 years in a number of different roles. I currently am the Vice President of Global Operations, and for us, what that means is that I oversee operations worldwide for functions like data and analytics, digital transformation, market access, real-world evidence, health economics and outcomes research, medical excellence, including medical information, commercial services, and other field customer engagement activities. So it's a fairly large scope. I've been in pharma for most of my career, but I've also been in retail pharmacy and also in hospital pharmacy. I'm a pharmacist by training, so I have my doctorate in pharmacy and a CHC certificate from Georgetown, right nearby.
I'm Stephen Honan. I'm the Director of Analytics for ARCS Nuclear, and that is a startup that is focused on advanced nuclear technologies and making them safe and secure for the future. So, so that we can scale from having 92 reactors in the United States to having potentially tens or thousands of reactors scattered around the country, around the globe, transiting around, and all doing that in a safe and secure manner. My background is actually from the United States Navy, and I was a counter-explosives expert. I've always liked STEM as hands-on as possible. If I was going to do something, I wanted to smell the gunpowder right after it went off. I wanted to be working with the water purification systems and the hands-on system, and that's what I was doing when I was in your shoes 20 years ago. So I earned the Congressional Award Gold Medal in 2006, and my focus was on, they didn't have STEM stars at the time, but I was able to pursue a project focused on clean drinking water and looking at South Asia as a place where I wanted to travel and explore and help support the population in Bangladesh in particular. I've gone on a securities route focused on kind of the present day all the way down to the past, but I look forward to this panel, and thank you very much for your time.
Stephen, don't go off mute yet. We're going to start with you with the first question for the day. I think one thing we pride ourselves on at Congressional Award is making sure we recognize young people for their service and self-improvement. From your perspective, how can STEM be a tool to serve your community?
That's a great question. I mean, I can think of so many ways that STEM has influenced the way that I pursue problem solving in my career and in my personal life. I would say in your community, there are ways in which we can improve our processes and our techniques to make things safer, make things less dull, more interesting, more efficient. One project that I worked on in particular that was not affecting my community, but it was affecting the community of individuals in Syria, was focused on evidence collection and making sure that we were properly storing evidence so that it could be used today in international tribunals. And that was all through digital records. So how do we actually use programming and novel solutions in order to protect the lives of the physical lives of people in dangerous situations. So I'd say that, you can think about your community that you live in, and you can see the atrocities that are occurring or the suffering that is occurring, with homelessness or through cancer or other other medical problems, and think through how you want to improve that through practical, step-by-step processes using the scientific method and everything else that you've learned in high school and college.
And Stephanie, I think you see it from a different perspective with the pharmaceutical, side of it. How is STEM kind of a tool from, your perspective to the community?
Yeah, I would start with the same thing, saying that STEM really is an opportunity to make a meaningful impact, and you can do that in many places within your community. But for us in pharma specifically, it's about improving lives. It's about bringing products to patients to make lives better. So whether it's wellness or it's environmental or it's healthcare, you're still making a meaningful impact in the community. It can be a tool in many places. For us, as an example, when you look at things like digital health, you're not only giving patients the ability to be able to access products that maybe they couldn't before, but give them more precise and tailored, personalized medicine so that it actually is more effective for them. And we've seen many cases of STEM experiments just like these, where students have received awards and ultimately it becomes the next innovation in healthcare. And we can talk about those examples for quite some time, but things like AI-powered digital engines, for example, where you've got healthcare devices at your fingertips. I mean, those are where you're creating toolkits for people and patients to improve lives.
Thank you. Ms. Dax, how do you see that from the government perspective, at Department of Education?
It's really about problem solving. And so whether you step into a role where you're in my own role, one of the things I get to do as the chief financial officer is to think about fraud. And when you're carrying a $2 trillion loan portfolio, that's a potential for bad actors to try and take advantage of our entire system. And so it's really thinking about how do I leverage the skills that I have and that my team has, particularly in my space of financial skills and accounting skills, and really think about how do we apply that to a portfolio. And just recently, somebody gave me what does $2 trillion represent? It would be as though we could buy every single NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball team in the entire country and still have $50 or $60 billion left over to do something else. It's an incredible amount of money that the government is spending on student loans for college, and digging into that and really thinking about it in some critical ways has been a space that I get really excited about. And it's just thinking about how do you solve a problem that exists in the government in some different ways, and applying, in our case, we're applying AI to it and thinking about technology and bringing in just fresh perspectives of how do we make sure we're being the best stewards of these funds.
Yeah, to keep going on that, I think one thing, I am not a STEM person. Science, math is just not my background.
No one should say that.
Oh, okay, all right. Let me take that back. I am a STEM person, okay? But I'm still trying to figure it out. What advice would you give to a young adult that kind of wants to step into that, or is unsure about can they fit into STEM or can they not? So thank you for correcting me. I'm right there with STEM, all right?
Always add the word yet.
Yeah, there it is, yeah.
I think for some students it really can be intimidating. If you've come from a space where you haven't had great preparation, or maybe you haven't had strong exposure. I grew up in a house where my parents never went to college, and so it was just not an example that I thought necessarily a lot about. And certainly, I grew up in a time when the internet didn't exist. I was born before the internet. And so recognizing that that is true, it just means there's so much innovation that's going to happen in your lifetime that the job you end up with 30 years from now sounds like that's a forever away, but it's like it's tomorrow. And so just to keep saying yes to the opportunities and recognize all of the best jobs in our country and in the world are STEM jobs. And so depending on what your goals are for yourself and for your family, I would really encourage you to think about something that you're both passionate about and interested in, and then lean into the skills that you need to be successful in that space.
Agreed, and Stephanie, you can touch on it a little more, I think, with, you're a doctor, a pharmacist, what are some of the ways that I think you've seen that people can jump into it that are unexpected? How can they step into the STEM field if they're unaware of it?
Yeah, and the yet comment, I was saying very seriously because there's still things that I say, oh, I don't think I'm good at that, so I'm not going to pursue that as a career opportunity, and I have to remind myself to say, I'm still learning that. So of course I'm not good at it. Not everybody's good at everything, and there's ways that you can grow and you can develop by learning it. So even if you've never even been exposed to a STEM program, or you're not sure what it is, or you don't know how to step into it, you will learn it along the way yourself. The benefit of being creative, right? Think about how your curiosity can kind of drive the next steps for yourself. I think that's really important. If you know now what job you're going to have in 20 years from now, I will guarantee you have the wrong answer. Not only will you not know what job you will have, but the jobs themselves will evolve. When we talked about STEM programs 10 years ago, we were very much talking about science, technology, engineering, math, right? So I'm either a S, a T, an E, or a STEM. In my field, at least, I don't see any jobs that don't integrate all of those together, or at least 2+, maybe 3 of them. Now, I could say I'm a math person, but I'm not sitting doing geometry. I could say I'm a science person, and maybe I could say I'm a science person, and yet the only thing I do is not research every day, but I have technology and everything that we do. So just think about it from that perspective. There's not a one-size-fits-all, and I think the ability to be curious and to say, I'm still learning this, even if you're a little bit timid about going into it, you'll get exposure to it. And if the best you can do is say, I actually do not like it, and be definitive about that, that's a learning as well. I gained as much from jobs that I've had where now I know I don't want them than the jobs that I've gotten more experience from, and now know what I want to do. So it's all good learning.
So remember, everybody, I'm asking you guys to get your questions ready. We're going to ask a few more questions to the panel, but I want to hear from you all. So, Stephen, I just wanted to continue on. Innovation continues to be a topic, in STEM and the translation that it has, Can you give an example of how it real life, connects to some things that you've seen in saving lives?
Of this. Yeah. I think that what you said about curiosity rings true for me, and it really STEM is about risk taking. When you're in high school, you think about things in terms of certainty, that there's a right answer and a wrong answer, and that you box it in, and that there's knowledge that is either able to be memorized or solved or whatnot. There are things in the world that have not been solved, like newsflash. It's out there, and we, in my field of counter-explosives in particular, we had to be thinking in innovative manners in order to save lives from IEDs, from weapons of mass destruction, from underwater mines that are making the news now. And now you're seeing things like unmanned systems that are able to place explosive charges and take out and neutralize threats. Those are things that did not occur at the beginning of my career and that are commonplace now. That is technology, that is advancement, that's procurement. That's acquisitions. And you see that because people were willing to try something a little bit outside the box, trying to do something where they didn't know what the answer was ahead of time. And they were willing to take those risks.
Thank you. You know, Cassie, I'm going to go to you. What role do you think plays in kind of shaping the future? Does health, education, technology, and like workforce fit into like that STEM conversation?
There really aren't jobs that I can think of where you don't need STEM skills. That is, we're thinking about the changing nature of work. There for sure used to be jobs where you could avoid it. And even today, I heard you guys had a really great artificial intelligence panel this morning where students were asking some good questions. And as I'm looking at the future of work and how AI is changing the future of work, it's changing everyone's job. And so the people who will be the most successful are the ones who understand both their job skill and how to leverage the technology to make themselves more effective at their job. And so I think that's just one example, but it's an example that permeates across the workforce and across our labor force.
And then, Stephanie, how have you seen, or what advancement or trend in STEM, either in health, education, or workforce, are you most excited about that you're seeing, like from a Ferring perspective?
I'll stick with healthcare because
Okay.
it's this fusion of artificial intelligence and life sciences. It's no longer sort of incremental, it's this co-creation of what will be the future. So things like digital health, I talked about it before, but if you think about artificial intelligence and the benefits of it, and I know it's scary for some, but we have completely shifted science from being super experimental to super computational. And there's value in that in many ways. We used to go into the lab when we had an experiment, and we used to do research, and we used to have to test the hypothesis, and then we would have to analyze the data, and then weeks, months, years later, we'd come back, and we'd do it all over again to make sure that we validated it. I mean, we can do those types of things in minutes, right? Days. And that's because of AI. So we could take these massive and complex data sets, and we can analyze them quickly, we can use it to drive decision-making, and we can have faster time in accelerating clinical trials and getting products to market and getting those to patients where they are, not having them come to us. So, I mean, there's so much more to come that I'm inspired by, but I think you feel it when I talk about it too. To me, I'm super passionate about what that combination of AI and life sciences and STEM brings that to us.
Do you see that in your like daily practice and like in your environment with other organizations too?
Yeah, sure. 100%.
All right. And Stephen, just wanted to continue on that talk. You know, STEM innovation requires collaboration. And I think you have to collaborate with so many different people from various expertise. You know, what makes a strong collaborator? You know, whether it's in medicine, education, communication, what have you seen across your side?
Humility. I think that being able to admit when you're wrong, I think being able to listen carefully, I think asking the right questions, getting the right responses, digesting that, collaborating, reaching out to people who you view as competitors to try to actually build in healthy friction into the system, so that way you're able to think through the process even more, right? When you're at one prestigious university, you want to be thinking about what the other universities are doing, and you want to try and find those collaboration points. I think that, you know, to your point as well, with the whole concept around life sciences, AI, and you know, how do we effectively use some of these tools that can compress the computational periods from years to minutes. It ultimately comes down to asking the right questions of the systems, of the data set, being ethical in the way that you actually pursue some of these answers. And I think that all of those are the principles that you want to carry with you when you go into a collaborative environment. But humility is really the biggest thing, because if you enter into a position where you think that you know something in totality, you're on a doomed path.
Say that again, because I walk into a room and I think I know, and I really know nothing.
I
So many times.
Truth, preach.
Cassie, I want to continue on that story. What have you seen as a strong collaborator in this space? Whether it's medicine, education, government, industry, kind of collaborating together to elevate things as well.
So the bomb guy tells us that humility is really important. That seems like it.
This is my resume. Yeah.
I think I'll go a different direction with it. Some of the best collaborators I know actually approach this work from a really humanistic perspective. They're great supervisors. They really understand the people who work for them. When somebody on my team comes in and I know that his mom's going into hospice this week, we don't just jump right into what's going on with your business support unit. And I think that's really important, and it builds stronger teams, and it helps people to do the work, because at some point in your career, you aren't just the person doing the work, you're the person facilitating other people to be able to do the work. And some of those skill sets start to change and start to emerge as being different things that you need to be good at. And so I think the diversity of skills becomes really important, and really leaning into some of the more humanistic, the people who work for you really matter, and thinking about that intentionally, and being good to your teams and being good to your staff feels like some of the most important skills that I could tell you to really focus on if you're going to collaborate with folks from all kinds of perspectives.
I want to amend my answer real quick. I like what you said, so I want to borrow that. My friend just recently said something to the effect of you get asked the question, what's your superpower? And she said, my superpower is recognizing the superpower of others. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So I think that's to the point of what you're saying. Collaboration is all about lifting others up.
All right, it's that time. If you have a question, there's a mic on either side. Please come on up. If you could say just your name, where you're from, and just your question. We're going to start here on the left, and then we're going to go right to left. So, sir?
Hi, my name is Lucas Pipkins. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I wanted to talk a little bit about the benefits of STEM that I think is applicable to every field of it, just because the benefits are what improve everyone's livelihood in not just this country but the world. So I was wondering, how does improving the accessibility to STEM affect how other people around the world are able to innovate and produce more for STEM, and not just the industry that STEM supports, but in general in science and the fields?
First, so I would tell you that I think that talent is evenly distributed around the world, but opportunities are not. And so when you think about helping people really have access to some of the information that you all clearly have access to, that becomes particularly important. One of the things that I focused on a lot in my career is helping rural communities. My job before this was as a community college president in West Virginia. And so thinking about rural communities and how do you really help people have access to information and make that really meaningful becomes a more important touch point and more important focus area. So from my perspective, it's been a central theme of my career, and really focused on workforce development in ways that give people the kind of access that you're talking about.
I've advised a couple companies. One of them was a startup focused on accessibility with hard of hearing, and their focus was around identifying and assessing venues for the accessibility. And is it conducive for sign language? Is it conducive for individuals who are affected by hard of hearing, right? And what we found was that with that type of data and that type of a review that is conducted on a restaurant or whatever, it was useful for elderly. It was useful for people having a quiet conversation or people who wanted to do all kinds of things. So thinking about accessibility as a way to introduce a new perspective onto the marketplace was their key differentiator.
Looks like we have a lot of questions. But I'll just add to that it's no longer about shaping the future. Sorry, John, I don't think you can say that either anymore. It's about co-creating the future. And when we think about STEM now, we think about if you know the problem that we have, we can't rely on major corporations all the time to solve them. And STEM is a pool that we can use to help to look for real ways that we can solve for issues that we're facing, no matter what industry, honestly. We do it in healthcare with small cohorts where we give awards just like this, and we look to the programs that are available. I mean, we're in New Jersey, which is a massive hub for STEM programs, so we have access to it. Take your point. How do we cultivate that in places where maybe there's not as much access, and how can we use it to solve a real potential need? I mean, I think we can promote that more, use some of this to stimulate that thinking.
Thank you.
All right. Sir?
Hi, I'm Abhinav. I'm also from the Bay Area. I live near San Jose. I wanted to continue on the topic of collaboration. If you guys have seen in the news recently, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, has faced critique for selling GPUs to China and accelerating their AI program. So how do you guys see politics affecting the global advancement of STEM and technology overall?
Let's take that one.
I think that's a wonderful question, and particularly highlighting China, I think, is an important strategic part of your question. One of the things that I know that I've spent quite a lot of energy worrying about is AI and China and access. And when we talk at the federal level about artificial intelligence, one of the strategic reasons why it's so important is that AI can be used as a weapon. And when we think about global expansion of an idea or of a STEM idea, one of the things that I know I worry about and that some of my colleagues worry about is that the rules that we operate by in the United States are not the same rules that China operates by. We have an open society, we have open exchange of ideas, we believe in sort of that free exchange that you're talking about, and those aren't values that China happens to share with us. As a communist regime, there are just different rules. And so when we think about the expansion of a tool that is also a weapon, it's actually something that I worry about a lot because our paradigm isn't the same paradigm that they're operating under.
I'll again answer from a healthcare perspective. Thank you for starting the politics, but right now there are two places that are driving innovation in healthcare more than anywhere else across the world. One is the US and the other is China. So when we look at the future and we go back to what you brought up earlier in your question, which is this idea of collaboration, we're thinking about how we get there. Because if we don't, then the world will be a very different place from a healthcare landscape than it is today. And to me, you can be a really good communicator, but the way that you collaborate is you make a contribution to shared outcomes. And I think that's what we're trying to figure out now is, are there shared outcomes? Because we do have different values, we do have different beliefs, we're driving towards different objectives as countries that are leading healthcare in the future, but are there ways that we can find collaboration in coming up with unmet need, areas of unmet need that we could potentially work on together? And I think that's how we get to a more collaborative state, is looking at ways that we can share goals and objectives with China, but that's obviously not a simple or easy thing to do.
Thank you.
All right. You have the next question?
Hi, I'm Kate from Illinois, and my question is, Since we're trying to involve more youth in STEM and bring STEM to underserved communities, how do you guys recommend like meeting people where they're at, as like going to communities that don't really see themselves in STEM or maybe don't like get it as fast as you would? How do you recommend kind of seeing across the divide and making sure that you're able to represent them in STEM and give them the opportunities that they can have?
Steve, you want to kick us off?
I think your earlier point about access is a key one. I think that high-speed internet and being able to have reliable energy and have clean water, all these things for rural communities, where you're able to take care of your body and your mind and be able to think about things in a creative way. I think that's important. I worked on a project focused on how do you deliver internet to rural communities as a way to kind of create some more equal playing field from a STEM standpoint. And I think that it requires a concerted effort that would be going through Congress. So I think that like part of my education was that good STEM also requires good policy. And I think that part of like the Congressional award is thinking through what does it take to actually get change to occur in some of these rural communities? And what kind of advocacy, what does it require from your part, from a volunteering standpoint, from a public awareness standpoint? Those are all things that are critical for actually creating a more level playing field for the youth. Which I firmly believe in. Like I hope that everyone shares that view that we would invest in the youth in both rural and urban areas alike, that everyone has the same playing field.
So we're gonna, thank you. So I know we got a few more, so we're probably just gonna have one of us answer, the rest, okay? Please.
Hi, my name is Shreya Gupta, and I'm from the Bay Area, California.
The Bay is strong in here, man, all right.
And as you know, the Bay's in the Silicon Valley, and that's where the hub of like biotech, like pharmaceuticals. So as you know, there's a lot of opportunity there for youth and people interested in STEM. So my question to you, one person can answer everyone, is that what is an opportunity or experience that you had personally or even a relationship that got you to where you are today? And what advice, like, briefly, do you have for the youth?
Ooh, that's a good one. I was going to take that.
So I'll share with you a quick story and experience that I had. So I mentioned that I started my career in a retail pharmacy. It was my grandfather's. So I grew up there. And so the idea was always to go into science. I mean, not much of a choice there. But I realized very quickly as I was filling one prescription after another that there were other ways for me to take what was the one-to-one and bring that product as a one-to-many. So working in a pharmaceutical company, to be able to do what I do and what I know, but on a much more massive scale. And I think you have that opportunity at your fingertips where you are. I also mentioned that I lead a global operations organization, right? I don't know that I need to be a pharmacist to do that, but all of the experiences that I've had along the way have allowed me to be able to take those opportunities to then build that into this career. You can do lots of different things if you have a STEM career, if you go through the programs. I think my advice to you would be just use every opportunity that you have as a learning opportunity and be curious about it. I mentioned it before, but I think it's really important as you start to navigate your own career. The best and most fulfilling careers that I know of are not based off a career path. They're based off of the journey that you take and the things that you believe in. So continue to just learn and build experiences for yourself to inform that in this next career.
Thank you. Sir?
My name is Ayan Hassan. I came from the Austin area in Texas, and Well, I've heard a lot about collaboration in STEM from you guys today, and when we mentioned China earlier, I thought about kind of an opposing force, which is competition. And I know we can see from, like, for example, the space race, we might never have gone to the moon if it wasn't for that. So where do you guys place competition in STEM, and how do you think like competition and collaboration may coexist in that field since they're kind of opposing forces?
Anybody?
Great question.
With collaboration, I believe that you want to think through, like, who is your network? Who are the people that you trust? Who are the people that you're going to lean on in difficult times? Who are you going to ask for financial support from when you're doing a startup? Who are you going to reach out to because you want some policy change for rural education? You know, and you want a diverse group of people that you're going to collaborate with. When it comes to competition, I think that the one thing you want to think through is, like, again, who do you trust, and then what do those layers look like? I think it's a gradient. I don't think it's you're either a collaborator or a competitor. I think that, you know, today's competitor could be your collaborator in the future. So you want to kind of be thinking about it from that perspective as well, which is probably a nebulous answer for you, but that's the best I can do at this point in time. Yeah, you know, it's difficult because I do come from a world where there's an adversary and there's an explosive, and I'm trying to work on that, and then that's my competitor, you know, and it's trying to kill me. And then there are my collaborators or everyone else who's, you know, I'm working with to disarm the explosive. That's a very myopic way of thinking about the problem set. What you want to be thinking about is the network that was creating the threat to begin with, right? And you want to be thinking about who are the collaborators that you're going to be working with in order to overcome and make the larger system safe.
Healthy competition fuels innovation.
Thank you.
I'm Sophia. I'm from New York, and I'm interested in STEM, but also sustainability in the environment. And I was wondering if you could talk about, like, how the two intersect in your work, and how sustainability and, like, looking at future generation plays a part in the work you do, and how possibly you work with environmentalists or sustainability initiatives.
So an example you might not have thought about, and a place where I would identify myself with the M in STEM and think of myself as being very mathy, and so not necessarily a space where, oh, I'm mathy and environmentalist. But I volunteer on a lot of boards, and my role in those spaces is often doing the accounting, surprise, surprise, or making sure that we've fundraised appropriately so that my colleagues who are building wells and going to other countries and thinking about clean water, who are thinking about sustainability, are able to do that. One of my favorite civic organizations is the Rotary Club, and one of their pillars is looking at environmentalism and sustainability, and the way that I have always been involved is through the finance arm. And so I would encourage you to think about yourselves as being multidimensional, that you can volunteer in spaces, that it doesn't necessarily have to be your job, but you can still use your STEM skills to be able to help a group of people become successful about something that's not necessarily what your work is.
All right. We'll end on our last two questions, all right?
Hi, my name is Denise Lee, and I'm from Los Angeles, California. I hope to major in computer engineering and become a neurosurgeon. So I want to ask, how do you think that AI and computer technologies will affect neuroscience, surgery, and patient care?
The answer is I don't know. The answer is we will see, because the evolution of AI in life sciences is happening so quickly that whatever answer I give you now, it will be a different answer tomorrow, it will be a different answer after that. But no group better to look for ways that we can improve in the area of neuroscience and come up with different treatments, different technologies, different ways that you can predict outcomes for patients, at least in the field that I'm in. But it's hard to answer that question with anything definitive because I think nobody really knows exactly what will come from the contributions that AI is making right now and how quickly they will come. I think you'll start to see a few things. You'll certainly start to see precision medicine. So if I know your phenotype, then I can predict what will be the best treatment outcome for you, for sure. You will get products, medicines, devices, tools faster, more conveniently, better, safer, more effectively than we get them today. And there's probably, I can keep going about things that I think will come, but I think a lot of advantages for any field of medicine that you go into. So the combination of computational science and whatever disease state area you're thinking about going into will be a huge benefit for you in the jobs to come in the future.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, my name is Hannah. I'm from Massachusetts, and thank you for your time today. I'm interested in computer science, and clearly, but also unfortunately, women are a minority in computer science, and so I was wondering, in your field or team or organization, what's the ratio between women and men like? If everybody could answer that quickly, that would be great. And then one person can answer, what are initiatives or organizations are you participating in to possibly close that gender gap?
Supervise a team of computer scientists, and I would say that 1 in 20 are women.
Okay.
Probably not unusual if I just copy and paste that with a different field, unfortunately. But things are changing and things are progressing, probably slower than we'd like to see. And that's why I'm a part of organizations like the EWA, which is the Executive Women's Association. Now that one is based mostly in New Jersey, but across the US, where they look at what is the diversity of women in the workplace at the executive level. The Healthcare Business Women's Association is another one, specifically in life sciences, yes, but that looks at women in the workplace. And there's a whole host of others that are available. There's chapters and communities that you can become a part of. In most organizations, certainly mine, there are employee resource groups that help drive some of those activities. So there's a lot more going on, I think, that there ever has been, but I think we have a huge opportunity to move a little bit faster at the pace, especially in the US.
We don't have any women at ARCS right now for computer science, but the team is only like 5 people right now. At the previous company that I was a part of, we were about 75, and I'd say we had about 22 to 23 women on staff as computer engineers.
Thank you so much.
All right, now last question.
Hi, I'm JP. I'm from Florida. My question is, nuclear fission has been a great clean energy source and has provided a bunch of power. Up and coming is nuclear fusion, which has the capability to provide a lot more power. So what do you think will be the impact of that technology, especially with its the use of AI's power usage, which is supposed to go up in coming years?
I would ask you.
What?
I would ask you. I would say you know more about it than I do.
Okay.
So I think that nuclear fusion is going to be the ultimate answer. If it's able to prove sustainable and reliable and safe and everything else, like push fusion every time. If I have option A or B. I think as a stopgap measure, we're going to probably have to use fission for at least the foreseeable future, and that's probably going to come in the form of SMRs and microreactors.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to thank you all for being here. This is the conclusion of our panelists. Let's hear it for our panelists here today. And I would like to give a big shout out to Ferring for their support for STEM with the Congressional Award. And I'll turn it over to our phenomenal and great executive director,
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I appreciate everyone's time, energy, grateful for this panel. I know we've got a lot of really stoked young people who are really teaching us quite a bit today, and I appreciate all the great questions and great answers as well. I'd like to now invite our young people to the stage for a photograph, and I'd like our panelists to please join us, and I'd like Emily as well to please come to the stage, and we will go ahead and orchestrate this quickly. Once we finish the photograph, it will be large, I know, we will be heading out into the atrium for our reception. Thank you all so very much.